So I'll be going over this with some green to blend it. I'm doing that crescent shape again on the circle, and here's the green. So I'm layering it, and it kind of blends them together and makes a blue-green. Once I bring it over, there we go. Now you could be choosing your own colors. Try doing the same techniques that I'm doing though. Okay, so to make this look more like a sphere, I have to make the this middle value that I'm doing circular. Do you see how I'm doing it kind of in a circle? So I'm bringing it around. I made like a line at the top that is almost a full circle, and I'm filling that in with that middle value that I'm doing with the green. Now I'm going to use this light green and go over it, kind of blend it. That looks nice. I like that yellow-green. It's really pretty. So I'm blending it over the other green, and now I'm going to bring it into that lighter circle that I left to create the lightest value. I'm going to go ahead and make sure the rest of it looks filled in and smooth. So I'm doing some overlapping here and blending in the colors a little bit here. You can see it's becoming spherical instead of a circle, just a flat circle. It's becoming more of a three-dimensional form, but it isn't, it's two, so it's a little bit of an illusion. Okay, so I like to go over with the dark again after I do the gradient, just to make sure that everything is the right step, like to make sure the gradient does go dark to light and a nice gradient, so there aren't any steps that are skipped. So I like to kind of look at it and review my work and see, do I need more dark? Do I need more light? Sometimes you might even need to erase it if it got too dark. You can erase where you might want it to be a little bit lighter. And if you're confused by what I mean when I say gradient, you can look back at your really cool color wheel where you did this with color pencils and you created color value, which is a gradient from dark to light. So it's the same idea, you're just doing it on a different shape. You're doing it on candy shapes. So I'm choosing two different colors. I'm showing you here, it's kind of like a red, violet, and then I'm doing an orange also. So the red violet is the darker of the two, so I'm going to do that here at the bottom of the Lifesaver. The spot that is furthest from the light is going to be darker. So I'm going to do the whole wall, that red violet, but the most of the wall is kind of a middle value, and then the darkest value is the one closest to the tabletop or the wrapper underneath. You can kind of see there are two different values in there. There's dark and there's medium. Okay, so I'm going to make the top of the Lifesaver a lighter value because more light can touch it. So I'm sort of slowly following the shape of the candy, like I did the circle or like I did the other candy. Kind of follow the shape and create the lighter values. And here I'm adding in another fun color. I love layering colors. So I'm adding the orange on top of the red violet, and I'm making it a little bit darker toward the edge and then lighter as it gets closer to the center of the candy. Do you see how there is a gradient, dark to light? The center is lighter, and it's going to get even lighter the closer to the pretend light source. Do you see how I'm making it even lighter as I get closer to that yellow color pencil? So you can really see that's the lightest tint in the gradient, and then it gets darker the further away. And so I'm going to just take a moment to look and see how can I make the value gradient look smooth, make sure I'm not missing any steps, and then for the fun part, there is some texture on top of this candy. So I'm going to do some fun little squiggly lines with the orange, and then I'm actually using that red violet, which is the darker value, to go underneath those squiggles to give them some dimension and to give them a little bit of shadow. And when you take a minute and step back and look, you'll see, oh yeah, it does look like texture that is coming off the candy. And I like to, like I said, bring in the dark value again just to make sure, when I'm done that it has a good gradient. And I'm going to add some of that in there too, since we are blending the two colors, red, violet over blue. So this is very fun, putting colors on top of colors. I hope that you experiment and use whatever colors you like. Okay, so I'm actually layering the blue on top of the red violet on the wall of the candy now, so that it kind of matches the shadow a little bit more that is next to it. Lots of layering. Okay, let's do the next candy. Here are the colors that I've chosen for the next candies. You can see I'm going to try doing 3 on that rectangular candy, and then I picked 2 for the other one. So I'm going to start with the dark. The darkest color for whichever candy I'm doing first. Okay, here we go. So I'm gonna go ahead and do this candy at the bottom. And this candy has alternating colors. So that's why I picked 2, because I'm gonna alternate them. And they are also going to have color value. This is a fun one to do. I like to alternate and make a color pattern. So I'm going to make it a little bit darker, closer to the bottom where it touches the table and where it's closest to the shadow. That's always going to be darkest. Now I'm going to start to change the pressure and change into the middle value and then to the light value as I get closer to the other side. And time for the yellow. With yellow, it's a little bit harder to make a nice gradient, dark to light, because the color is already so light. But you can do it. You just have to, make sure you press down hard enough on the darker value, and then make sure you have a nice gradient to light. And I'm alternating back to pink. You've probably started to get the hang of it by now, I bet. So we do dark to light, and make sure you are changing the pressure. And that's how you get it light, to relieve some of the pressure. Okay, so here we go. Here's the yellow. That yellow sure is nice and bright. Okay, so I'm doing the same again with the pink. Dark to light, just like we did in our practice and all the other candies. It's nice having this geometrical shape, this cylindrical shape with the different sections, the pink and yellow. It's just kind of fun because it's really easy to do it's easier to do the shading, the value on this, I think, because of the smaller sections. Okay. Great. Now for the last candy. These are some of the colors. There's the light. I'm going to put that there. Okay. Light, medium, dark. And let's get started. I like to start with my dark value. And there, I'm just reminding myself, there's the light. And here is the dark over here. So the furthest, point from the light is going to be a little darker. So I'm starting with the edge of that candy that's furthest away, making it kind of dark. Now I'm going to do the bottom corner, which is actually furthest away. The top is kind of close. And I'm switching over to the middle value now as I move up a little bit from the bottom. And I'm going to go ahead and do the little crinkles in the wrapper. Okay. I'm going to go over that with the medium value, but I want to make sure the part of the candy that's closest to the table is darker. And then, yeah, so it's darker next to the table. And then I'll change it and create the middle value. So there's a gradient. Okay, so I'm gonna bring that darker value over a little bit to the left edge and go over these crinkles a little bit. Let's do that one too. I'm not using as thick of a line on the top. You can see it's a thinner line with that red violet, but I do want to put a darker line there because the light will touch it. And you can see I'm using even a lighter line on the top wrapper where it's bunched together. So I'm checking before I switch colors if there's anywhere else that I need to add this red violet, and I'm going to add a little bit more at the bottom because it is pretty far away from the light. Okay, I'm ready to start to blend. So I'm grabbing my pink and I'm going to go over it and then make sure that I have 2 different values at least on that back side, so it's dark, and then the pink is the medium value. I'm pressing down quite hard with that pink because it's still going to be lighter than the red violet. Cool. So I'm going to just essentially fill that in with a medium. It's kind of medium value versus the dark and the crinkles. It's lighter than that. Okay, I'm going to do the same kind of thing here. I'm going to go over the red violet to kind of blend the colors together. And you're going to go over where that shadow touches the other where the shadow from the blow pop touches the other candy. And go over it, and now you can see I'm really trying to make a gradient. So it was dark, and then I moved it over and made it lighter by having a lighter pressure. And I'm going to fill in this section with a smooth color value. Okay. So this side is definitely going to need to be lighter so that I can see the transition from dark to light. So I'm going to make sure I make the very end of that light. You can see the gradient once I move my hand out of the way. There it is, dark to light. And I'm going to tidy it up a little bit to make sure it's a smooth transition and I'm not missing or skipping any steps in that gradient, dark to light. Let's see, looks pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing down here on the side wall of the rectangular candy. Go over the red violet and create a gradient by changing the pressure of your pencil. And it's going to be lighter over there. Very cool. I'm so excited to add the yellow tint to really make the highlighted bright side of the candy pop. So this is going to be fun. I love using yellow as a tint. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to put yellow over there. Look how bright it is, and it really looks like the light's hitting it. Now I'm going to go over the pink, which blends the colors together and creates a really nice kind of almost like a red, orange. Okay, so the top is pretty good. Now I'll do the side, same way. Making that yellow represent the light and then blending it over the rest of the candy. And this wrapper is definitely going to be bright because it's going to be the closest to the light source. And I just want to make sure my blending looks smooth, so I'm going to go over some other spots. I want it to match, so if I'm overlapping these colors on the top of the candy, I should probably do it around the rest of the candy too.